All right, everybody, welcome back to another week here of the Pattison Report podcast. I'm Brandon, that's Ryan, and it's a bit of a conflicting week, I would say, for a lot of Eagle fans. I've been saying from the get-go, I think I said on this podcast, but anybody I talk to casually who will listen, I've been really rooting for Jason Kelce to hang it up. I love Jason Kelce. I think he's a top 5 Eagle all time. I think his jersey should be retired. I think he should get the full hero treatment for his time with the Eagles. It has nothing to do with his on-the-field play. Don't get me mixed up with those clowns over at Jackhead Media talking about we're better off without him. Don't lump me in with those. I'm happy that he's retiring because he's just such a lovable person. I would hate to one day look back at your favorite players and go, man, remember Jason Kelce? Remember how happy and jovial he used to be? Remember all this and that? I want to see him leave the game when he's at the top, go off, crush retirement, be a great girl dad, do the podcast, just kind of take retirement in stride. I never want him to stay a year or two too long. And, have Eagle fans and that himself kind of have to watch the downfall. He even said it on New Heights today. He was like, I have a little bit more left in me, but I don't have a full season. And if I had to go out there and halfway through the year, all of a sudden, I'm unplayable or I'm costing us games or I'm getting Jalen hit, he's like, that would just crush everything that I work for. So I'm glad he realizes it. I'm glad he went out while he's still number one and on top. And I'm really hopeful that we get to see a lot more fun Jason Kelce content. Did you see the video of him jumping through the flaming table off a fire truck already?
He's in peak form. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what Jason Kelce should be doing in retirement. He's absolutely crushing it. But after leaving the press conference, hearing the decision, how did that leave you feeling?
Sad, of course. I just want to go back to, were there people hating on Kelce?
Not hating on him for retiring, but the hot take artists over at I think it's Jackhead Media, however the hell you pronounce it. When everybody was kind of talking about, what's going to be left behind and, the gap in the line. There wasn't necessarily a hating approach, but they were like, well, they brought up his age. They said, we have Cam Jurgens. We're going to be better off without him. Jason Kelce's starting to slow down. They got a little ahead of themselves, in my opinion. We'll get to that part later about the on the field, but they were the only ones I heard that were not happy he was gone, but excited he was gone for on the field reasons.
It's impossible to hate this man. He's probably the most likable man in America, right?
He's definitely the most loved athlete in the history of Philadelphia. I know Brian Dawkins had a similar effect, but I don't think, again, he didn't have social media to lean on either. I think Jason Kelce has surpassed Brian Dawkins as far as universally beloved in Philly.
It spreads beyond Philly at this point, honestly. Everyone loves that man.
Shout out to Taylor Swift. The world found out about Jason Kelce through her.
It was them discovering Travis, and then right away to his brother, and
yeah, and it helped the big public reveal of Travis and Taylor also happened to have luchador Jason Kelce on stage with Marshmello going absolutely bananas. That's the Jason Kelce they were introduced to, and I couldn't think of a better. If you had to give me 30 seconds to encapsulate the Jason Kelce experience, it's him on stage in a luchador mask going absolutely bonkers for a Marshmello song. Meanwhile, Trav's off screen doing something responsible like an adult.
I don't think they got introduced to him there. I think they got introduced to him
You cut out?
at the Buffalo game.
Yeah.
When he took his shirt off and just screamed after his brother scored.
That's true. That did predate it. You're right. That did predate it. The rebel yell, jumping out of the window.
It's gonna. I see now. Now we gotta watch all these Chiefs games. Jason's gonna be in the box for every one of them next year.
I don't know. He'll be there a lot, but he's gonna be in a lot of Eagle games. I wouldn't be surprised if he joins this. I think he'll join the staff. Not next year. I think he'll take a year away from the game. But he'll be on the staff. he loves football.
Him with Stoutland, or him replace Stoutland. Stoutland's get old.
Yeah, I mean, but the Stout eats, sleeps, and breathes football. He's not going anywhere.
I'm not suggesting that. I was saying in a scenario he retires. We could change every coach in the building, and he's the guy I'd want to change last.
Yeah, well, that was apparently when the offensive coordinator position came up for grabs. Who the hell am I thinking of? Was it Cliff Kingsbury? It might have been Cliff Kingsbury. Somebody they interviewed for the OC position said they wanted to bring in a whole new staff. And how it was non-negotiable that Jeff Stoutland retained his position. Like, they wouldn't hire anybody who was going to replace Jeff. Which is awesome, but it's so cool to think that the offensive line coach has that kind of clout.
I mean, you definitely do, because look what he did with Kelsey. Like, he perfected his game. You could look to Lane Johnson. That if you look at that tackle class, besides Lane Johnson, if you don't remember, there was 3 tackles taken in the top 5. The other 2 were out of the league like instantly.
Yeah.
So like, and then with Jordan Mailata,
Mailata is the greatest success.
Like, it's pretty crazy, but Jason Kelsey, he gave a lot of credit. Like the speech was awesome. I didn't get to watch the full thing yet.
But my God, the speech is, dude. You got to watch the New Heights clip about it, because they talk about how Jason called Nick Foles to make sure he could reference his dick during the retirement speech. And both Nick and his wife co-signed it and said, absolutely, go for it. Did you see that part of the speech?
Yeah, I saw that part. That was the part that was going around. Like,
dude, so awesome. Like, he just gets it. And that brings me to my point. The Eagles have always been kind of hesitant to retire numbers. The one that always surprised me who got his number retired, Donovan McNabb. Excuse me. Because, talk about a tumultuous relationship with the team and the fans. Donovan McNabb is way up there on that list. Jason Kelsey should have his number retired by the end of the week, right?
Should have had it by the end of the season, if I'm being honest. We all knew this was coming. Like, it hurts. We saw, but we prepped for this a little bit. Still didn't hurt any less, but we prepped for this. We had some time, but immediately
right? Yeah, it should be
no-brainer. The greatest center of all time, and you could argue that, and I wouldn't debate it.
Yeah, he's first ballot Canton for sure, which for a center is really hard to do. And then just the way he represented, the team, what he meant from a leadership point of view, they said that jersey should be retired immediately. Ring of Honor immediately.
Oh yeah,
just all the accolades that he can possibly get the Eagles, and I think they will. I'm not saying that critically. I think that something has to already be in the works because the appreciation that they had for Jason was notable. There was all the clips of you have the media in the newsroom watching it, but then you had all the cafeteria workers, the training staff, like everybody was huddled in the cafeteria watching the speech. They put out a 6-minute tribute video of all the athletes who called in. Like, this dude transcended, go beyond the O-line. He's the most famous O-lineman probably ever to play the game, but he transcended football and how many people kind of were impacted by it.
Little bit. It was, oh God, I forget what drill it was at the combine. I know where the list is, but he revolutionized the position of center for football.
Yeah.
It was him. The pull stuff that he does, that wasn't a common thing way back when.
No, well, his background where he was a linebacker at Cincinnati. So he made the transition light. His heaviest playing weight, I believe he said, was like 290. But he often sat between 270 and 288. So, for a center, he's a short guy. So, yeah, you're right. He was the first short, quick center who there's so many clips of him running out in front of Shady McCoy, leading Darren Sproles down the field. Like, when your lead blocker is your center, you can do a lot of pretty special things. We've been spoiled to have that for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings me to our next question. who's going to be the heir to the Jason Kelce throne in the middle? For those who don't follow the team real closely, Jason's been in the scouting room for the past 3 seasons for every offensive line class because they wanted him to pick his successor. So Cam Jurgens was that pick. He said, if you want to keep running the same style and you want somebody who mimics my game, this is the closest thing to myself I've seen in 3 years of tape. So the prevailing wisdom would say it's going to be Cam Jurgens. Yeah. I've heard other people say, Landon Dickerson could have a run at it. I just think you let Dickerson develop where he's been. I think he stepped in as a young guy and been a huge anchor of one of the best offensive lines in football. And Cam Jurgens, the guy himself said, this guy replicates my play style. So for me, it's got to be Cam Jurgens. But where's your head at?
Yeah, it's definitely Cam Jurgens. I mean, if he scouted him himself and had input on the pick because he knew he was retiring soon, and it's one of those things where you just trust your guys, especially with someone as good as Kelce. And Cam Jurgens, I mean, it's been a little rocky of a start, but I think he wasn't playing his natural position, which is center. So,
yeah, I think that's why people are looking at Dickerson a little bit because he's been so great and so consistent early. But that's because you're right. He's playing his natural position. We're asking Cam Jurgens not to play his. He could step in at center and be revolutionary.
Too, if I'm not mistaken. Did he play center senior year?
No.
Dickerson, I think he did.
Yeah, that's why the there's a question of who should take it over.
I'm all for an open competition, but I give Jurgens first crack. But I also found that list. It was shuttle times, the 20 or the short shuttle. Mm-hmm. He tweeted out a list that just 28 offensive linemen since 2010 recorded a 4.47 or better.
Yeah.
And Kelce had a 4.14 short shuttle. The next closest time of that group was 2.47.
What?
4.27. My bad.
Oh, okay.
I messed with the numbers.
Yeah, by far and away the fastest guy in the draft for this position.
Insane agility, and it showed every time on tape. I mean, how he was ready for it to be Jurgens though, because if I'm remembering this all correctly, Steen's natural position is right guard.
Yeah.
So you slide Jurgens over,
yep.
Put Steen in, and let the bookend tackles do a lot of the heavy lifting with Kelce gone now.
Yeah, it was always the plan. Kelce could have stayed as long as he wanted, but that was always the plan. But once his time was up to move Jurgens over there, I agree. I don't think an open competition hurts, but I also think you want to wrap that up as quickly as possible, for the simple fact that you're losing your quarterback of the O-line, so you want to have these next 5 guys get as many reps together as they can in camp. So you don't want that competition to run real long, and
it's heavy shoes to fill though.
It's almost impossible. When you think of when Jason Kelce's career started, the clips of him in that Rams game with Mike Vick under center, and you realize that he's been the center every game, just about I think every game but one. I think since then, that's an insane consistency that you can't make up for.
That reminds me. This is just a quick aside. Have you seen those videos of fantasy Twitter hyping up a player and they're highlight tapes and then they pick out a player from the bottom ticker who's no longer in the league?
Nah.
Someone tweeted out Michael Thomas highlights and they're it was a Tyrod Taylor box score from the Bills or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not as big on that side of Twitter. I'm more.
It just reminded me of that, but yeah, it is crucial to get these 5 guys together as much as you can. But now since Kelce's gone, we have to start looking forward to when Lane's gonna go, because he's not far behind Kelce. He's up there in age.
Yeah, Lane's 31, I think.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have a clear replacement for him.
No, so that's got to be. It can't be this year. There's too many other pressing needs, which kind of is a great segue into our next topic.
It could be.
But you're right. I mean, right tackle is going to be a really important position going forward. I don't think it's this year, personally, just because. What's up?
I think it could be if Howie finds he
Oh.
finds a guy he likes. There is
Well,
so I know I'm the draft person, so just to dump a quick little draft knowledge on you. The O tackle class is absolutely loaded. A bunch of quarterbacks are flying up the board. JJ McCarthy might go 5th now, like it's crazy. So if Howie finds a tackle that he likes in the draft, he can go up and get him. I mean, as long as it doesn't cost you like a 2nd round pick, because we have 2 seconds, maybe like a selection next year or something like that, to go up a couple of spots and grab a guy that you really like that, could be the tackle of the future. I'm just saying, I don't think it's going to happen, but we can't rule it out with Howie.
No, with Howie, look, he loves building through the trenches. It's one of the things I love about him. One of the reasons the Eagles are so consistently good. That being said, when you do the same thing over and over and over and over again, that means you leave other positions out. And all of a sudden, we are looking at a linebacking core that's decimated, an aging secondary. You just cut Avonte Maddox. Now, I know he might come back, but let's assume that he doesn't. James Bradbury's unplayable. He cut Kevin Byard, so the secondary's in shambles. The linebacking core is in shambles. You're looking at Fletch retiring, and I realize that D-tackle isn't in need, but your defensive line's getting older. Brandon Graham's got one last ride in him at half of what he used to be. There's holes all over this team. And I love building through the trenches. Like I said, it is one of my favorite things. We're consistently good because of it. But he's got to take a break this year because there's too many other needs. I know he drafted for talent, and we all bitched at him because he drafted for need instead of talent. I need him to go back to being old Howie and draft for need.
That's where it gets scary.
I know, because he's not good at it. I get that. But tell him that, only show him SEC products for those positions. We might be okay.
I mean, Alabama does have 2 good cornerbacks this year, so I mean, you're kind of spitting there. I get on board with that.
I know you're a big Cooper DeJean guy. The closer this draft gets, I keep talking myself into Kool-Aid McKinstry as best as I can.
I'm okay with any of these guys. None of these guys have looked at him like, oh, red flag. It's just it's corner is really deep too. It's just depending on the kind of guy you want, honestly.
Yeah. So I think that's what I would like my first round pick to be as a corner.
I started piping up the Quinyon Mitchell pipe dream, and that got crushed as soon as you ran the 40.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
He's going not
going to 15 now. So
yeah, he's not going to get there.
No.
But yeah, I'm all aboard corner first round pick, especially given the fact that nobody gives a shit about safeties. Apparently, I mean everybody is cutting their safeties left and right.
What is it? Oh God! Someone tweeted out something today. I think 8 teams have their 2 starting safeties from last year currently under contract.
Yeah, I believe
7 or 8.
And they're good safeties, like CJ, GJ. I mean, he was always going to be a free agent, I believe.
He might come back.
I bring him back in a heartbeat. I have no issue with that.
Would the fans welcome him back? I mean, I would. But
absolutely. Yeah, the fans. There was never. That was a manufactured beef. Everybody wanted him back the first time. His agent got a little bit too cute with the numbers and how he put him back in his place, which unfortunately, cost us a couple of wins. I think Kevin Byard was a dumpster fire, but that's beside the point. I would love to have him back. I would welcome Jordan Poyer. Who else am I missing?
Trying to think.
Seattle cut ties with Quandre Diggs, who I know is in a safety, but I'd still love to have him in the secondary.
He's played safety. Yeah, I think he's made a couple of Pro Bowls at safety, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought he was a corner.
No, he's a safety. Him and Jamal Adams are both safeties, and they cut them both.
Who am I thinking? Wait, Diggs. Oh, I'm thinking that Diggs.
Wrong Diggs. The other Diggs. That's
wrong Diggs. Yeah, I'd be happy with I'd be happy with him. I think that's a need you address through free agency. Though. Yes. You almost treat your safeties like you do your running backs. 1 year, low risk deal. Let them prove out and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, there's no one even on the level of a Kyle Hamilton or Derwin James or even a tier kind of below that this year. So if there was one of those guys, you could talk me into it with him probably falling down the boards considering he's a safety and him being an impact player, but we don't have to have that talk this year. So
yeah, and I mean, as much as I love Reed Blankenship and he plays hard, I do think all of those guys are still a tier above Blankenship at the moment. So it still enhances your safety room, which at the moment is abysmal. Nickel corner, you hope Isaiah Rodgers can step in and play that position. They're always easier to find, I think, in the open market as far as versus your premier guys on the outside. And then linebacker, I don't know where the hell do we go with linebacker? Do you draft? Do you go free agent? I mean,
I gotta look at the class to refresh because I think there's Peyton Wilson's medicals are. I think they came back good, but it's the draft class has a bunch of day 2 guys, which we do have 2 second-round picks, so it could be easily addressed there. You pick a linebacker, then you pick, say, maybe I don't know. I
mean, if we're getting day 2 linebackers, are you just praying to whatever God you believe in, and the Kobe Dean turns into what we thought he was?
Yeah, I mean, we might have to because, like I said, since we're ranking the offseason needs, I wouldn't be opposed to picking a wide receiver with that second round pick.
What, to replace Quez?
Yeah, not to replace Smitty. No way. No, we're not replacing him.
I don't know if you were hedging your bets because Smitty's still not re-signed.
No. You get a nice kind of guy who could play in the slot. Quez is because if one of those guys goes down, we've seen it.
Let's just call it what it is.
We've seen it when one of those guys goes down. Like it just doesn't end well, and it's a little. It works as a little bit of a hedge. It's not my intention.
Dude, I thought Olamide Zaccheaus deserved way more snaps last year.
He did, but I just if I see, because this is how my process works in my head. If I see a semi-need for my team and the draft class is ultra strong in that position like it is for wide receiver, you attack it. Honestly, go get a good guy and fill the other needs elsewhere. Maybe sign a linebacker. That's what I was looking for and I totally forgot about it.
It's so funny. I mean, and that's why I always find it so entertaining when you and I talk drafts, because obviously, look, you studied a lot more than I do. Our philosophies could not be more different.
You're an ED. I'm beat. You do free agency for need, draft for talent.
And see, I'm all about plugging the holes and just trying to build an even keel team. Where you have weakness, you draft corner, you draft linebacker, they're your 2 biggest needs. You're out here going, look, we have the 2 best wide receivers in the NFC. I want to go get another one. Just to have the best wide receivers, you put the pedal down a little bit extra.
You got to put the pedal down sometimes. I'm looking at the free agency. I mean, Frankie Louvu, the Panthers are, I don't even know what to call him. I guess just a dumpster fire at this point.
Yeah.
He's not going to go back there. They use their franchise tag on Brian Burns. They're gonna trade him, obviously. Levante David, I think he's going to go back to Tampa. I think he just finishes his career out there.
Probably. I mean, not that it directly affects him, but they did just bring Mike Evans back, so they might just be running it back in total. The same way we try to keep BG and Fletch and all in the building, they might be doing something similar.
Yeah. Patrick Queen, I think, is going to be a little too expensive, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Patrick Queen, I think we're priced out on Patrick Queen.
I don't think I'll put it this way. I think whatever he wants, he's worth. But knowing how he values the position, there's no chance in hell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this one's something.
What's that?
Devin White. He's kind of been rocky in Tampa at the end, a couple of years now. Do we think that we could revive him? That's the name that's in the back of my head. If he comes cheaper, not cheap, but on the cheap side,
mm-hmm.
I could talk myself into it. But if we have to pay kind of top 75% market value, I'd be way out on him kind of deal.
Yeah, if he wants to come to a prove it deal, I'm on board. Deal. But
honestly, so
I think we'll move off him in a second. I think we both look at him a little bit the same way, where you remember that Tom Brady season when that linebacking core was like pretty special in Tampa. And it's like, man, is it still in there? Can he still do it? And I think we learned our lesson this year with Shaq Leonard. It's not
there. Shaq Leonard also got injured, though. He was never the same guy. I mean, I'm on the avenue of sign one, draft one, and then have Nakobe Dean there as well, and just hope something works.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I think that's what you have to do. It just sucks that the Eagles are always in a position where you gotta hope, and you'd like it to only be in one position group. But the last 2 seasons, I felt that way about both the linebacking core and our back end, which is terrifying.
I don't know if he's going to get. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
It's scary for a team that leans so heavily on their pass rush because if your linebackers and your back end guys let you down, I don't care who you have rushing the passer, it's not going to matter.
So it's one of those things where you could kind of mask that if your pass rush kind of falls off like Phillies did last year. You got to watch some Peyton Wilson, NC State. He's a dog. If he comes on the board at our first, second round pick, I want Howie to absolutely sprint to the podium. I don't know if he's going to make it that far, but if he does, I want him to sprint that pick in.
I'll take anything at this point. Like I said, we have such a talented front, and I think Sean Desai deserves a lot of the blame, but I also think the fact that they had no support on the back end is a big reason why our second numbers fell off.
So doing what the header says, we're ranking it. We're gonna go corner, linebacker, safety, wide receiver 3, right? That sounds.
Yes, I would put O-line ahead of wide receiver 3. That's just me.
You want another guy in there to develop?
Yeah, I mean, 1, you're going to lose a depth piece with Jason, and 2, I want another young guy for Stoutland the mold for 2 to 3 seasons.
I mean, I'm all for it. Maybe you could sign a wide receiver 3. I mean,
how'd that go? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can patch that better than you can patch the O-line, I think.
Yeah, you never get to. You have to pay top dollar for these guys at O-line,
Exactly. But other than that, I think that's your official Patterson report ranking.
Yeah, true, and we want 2 corners, right? We want 2 at least.
Yeah, 2 corners, 1 in the first round, the other one, I would say before first round and third round, I would like to go corner.
I'm cool with that.
I mean, it's greedy, I know, but it's a huge.
Yeah, you got a double dip.
Especially when you again, Monte Maddox might come back, but still.
This is the class where Howie should just absolutely go crazy because, the needs of the team line up with the strengths of the draft. Go crazy. Just do what you do, Howie. Honestly, if he trades down from where are we at? 21, 20?
20. I thought we were 22.
If the board falls right and he trades down for some more later picks, I'm all for it. Unless there's a guy there. Obviously.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we'll see. We'll have to clip this and we'll come back to it after the draft and see if how
wrong I was
with our needs assessment. Not necessarily with with names, but we'll see where he kind of put his value.
We could do this twice. We could do this after free agency and we could do it after the draft and just see what happens.
We'll have to bookmark this and come back to it.
We'll have to bookmark and come back to it because I think Howie's going to be a player in free agency. They've been sneakily building up a lot of money.
We have 52 million in cap.
I didn't even know it was that high. I thought it was 41. I guess that was
cutting Kevin Byard and Avonte Maddox freed up a lot of dead money.
He's getting sneaky. He's prepping something.
He's going to take a swing. I think. There's a big swing coming.
L'Jarius Sneed maybe might be a swing I've heard rumored.
I've heard that one. I've heard a corner from the Giants whose name I'm blanking on.
The safety?
Yeah.
Xavier McKinney?
Yes.
That's a swing I'd want to take. Young safety.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's put out some cryptic tweets about seeing things from a bird's eye view now.
Can I just comment one thing on the Giants real quick?
Yeah.
How about them losing Xavier McKinney and Saquon Barkley and having Daniel Jones under contract for $43 million? I saw that one fired out there, and I just had to bring it up because, like, oh my gosh.
That is how you grenade a roster, ladies and gentlemen. You commit to a quarterback because you feel like you have to, and you have no money left to spend on the rest of the team. I mean, Saquon Barkley is gonna. If I was him, he should go to a contender. As a running back, what's up?
Houston, they have a ton of money.
Yeah, I could see that. Absolutely, I could see that.
Running backs. We could talk about that real quick for the Eagles because I heard reports that it doesn't look like they're going to sign DeAndre Swift back.
I'm hearing Austin Eckler. I'm not real happy about it.
Dude, don't talk to me for. I'm gonna be in here, blanket over my head. Austin Eckler, I love the dude. He loves the fantasy community, but man, that tape the back end of the year, I know it was with Easton Stick, but
he's not the same back.
He's not the same back. Now there's another guy that's kind of older that I'd want to take a swing on for maybe a year. That King Henry. Yeah. I think he's okay. If it's 1 year, if he says, yeah, I want to try to win a Super Bowl. Kansas City has Pacheco. Buffalo has James Cook. NFC's weaker. Let's go win this thing.
You're playing with fire. I understand that he hasn't gone over the hill yet, but man, are you playing with fire? You talk about a guy who's had the wheels run off of him for his entire career, and I get it. I get the temptation, but you're really gambling that you're not going to be the team that gets stuck holding the bag.
That's what I'm saying. 1 year. If you're holding the bag for a year or whatever, like look at the teams that are contenders right now. You have San Fran with McCaffrey. You have Buffalo with James Cook. I mean, they could add someone. You have the Chiefs with Pacheco, and then the Bengals is the one where it's like
Nixon.
They're planning to release him apparently.
But I think. I mean, we're talking about big names, and I get that, but DeAndre Swift is in that category with those guys. DeAndre Swift is as good of a back as James Cook, I think.
I know. It's just, I think their plan is not to resign him, wait it out, and then go back to DeAndre Swift at a cheaper price. That's what I think is going to happen.
I mean, they gambled on that last year with Miles Sanders, and I agree with the move. It was the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to do, but just remember that the running back free agency class was significantly weaker. I believe the only other headliner was David Montgomery.
Yeah. Who turned out to be a better back this season.
Oh, yeah. This free agency class has Josh Jacobs, Saquon, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard's out there. I know Tony Pollard wasn't as good, but like he was better towards the back half of the season. But there's a lot more names out there this year. Although the running back draft class is kind of terrible, so like
that's what I'm saying. But why dick around with it? Like, I mean, you opened up this this $50+ million in cap space. I get you don't pay running backs, but if DeAndre Swift comes in at a reasonable number, that's not going to cripple this team going forward. He doesn't have a lot of mileage on him. He already knows the system. He's a local guy, which shouldn't mean anything.
Are we changing the system?
What's up?
Are we changing the system with Kellen Moore? Or?
Fair point. Nevertheless,
I got you. Still,
yeah.
It's chemistry with the same basically group of guys.
And I think he was just so brutally underused last year. And I know Kellen Moore doesn't like to run the football. I also know Nick Sirianni loves to run the football. So Kellen will run it more than he had previously. I would just love to see DeAndre Swift in a more functional offense with an offensive coordinator who is actively learning on the job.
We've been wanting that for DeAndre Swift for years.
I know, and we thought we were going to be the team to give it to him when we let him down. He still ran for 1,000 yards. I'm not playing this world's smallest violin for him.
That 4-week stretch or something, he was a dog, man.
That could have been
unstoppable.
I don't know why Ryan Johnson looked at that and went, nope, never again.
Nope, screen.
Yeah, which is fine. Throw a screen to DeAndre Swift. He's one of the best receiving backs in football.
No, sorry about that. Wide receiver screen.
Yeah.
Tight end screen.
I'm so glad he's gone. God. But, all right. That'll do it for this evening. We didn't get to the Phillies. Zach Wheeler signed a new deal, largest re-signing per year value in Phillies history. and the Sixers continue to free fall down the standings. Next week, assuming nobody else legendary retires, we will start with Phillies and Sixers, and then we'll get to the Eagles.
But I'll give my quick analysis on Zach Wheeler. He was worth every penny.
Absolutely, no one's doubting that. Worth all $42 million of those dollars. And we'll get into a Phillies regular season outlook next week. The Sixers, I don't really have the energy; they suck. So we'll save that for a later day. But for now, I'm Brandon. That's Ryan. Shout out to Jason Kelsey. See y'all next week. Peace.